Hello everybody, welcome back to Mining Modern. This week we have another pretty fun deck in that if you like big creatures, you like this deck. You know why? Because we have, well, I was going to say the biggest, I guess, but that doesn't make sense. There's no Emrakul. But they are quite big. Iona. If your opponents are fans of casting spells, you should play this card against them and see what they think. Iona, when it comes into play, choose a color. Your opponents can't cast spells of the chosen color. So we have that. We have an Ugin at the top. We have a Sundering Titan at the top, wreck people's mana. We have an Elesh Norn at the top, wreck their creatures. What accomplishes all of this? Big mana and cheating things out. This is a blue-white, Gifts Ungiven Tron deck. That being the Urza Tron, the Urza's Mine, Power Plant, and Tower, that if you have all three in play, make up to 7 mana. So the goal is kind of twofold here, and this is our white-blue deck outside of it. But we want to play those cards, make a bunch of mana, and cast things like Sundering Titan or Ugin, Elesh Norn, sort of the typical Tron plan. But we also have Gifts Ungiven, of 4 of in our deck. So there's a couple ways to play Gifts. Excuse me. At the end of their turn, because this is an instant, you cast a card, you target them. You can go into your deck and get up to 4 cards with different names, reveal them, and they choose which 2 you keep and which go to your graveyard. So, for instance, if we really need a Wrath of God spell, we can go get Day of Judgment, Wrath of God, Supreme Verdict, and probably like Snapcaster Mage, and that basically guarantees that no matter what they choose, we're getting a Wrath effect on our turn, which is great. But sort of the hidden mode with Gifts Ungiven is that you can just choose 2 things, and the way it's worded, they choose which go to your graveyard. So if you only choose 2 cards, they have to put them in your graveyard. So we choose Unburial Rites, put a creature card from your graveyard into the battlefield. You choose this. It has to go into your graveyard because it's one of the 2 you chose. So it goes in the graveyard where it has a flashback cost of 4 mana. You also choose, pick your bomb, pick your Iona, pick your Sundering Titan, pick your Elesh Norn, put it in your graveyard. So what this deck can do is play, for instance, play a turn 2 Azorius Signet. Turn 3, play Gifts Ungiven. Turn 4, flashback the Unburial Rites, reanimating the Sundering Titan or the Elesh Norn or the Iona, whichever you need. So that's one line to play with this deck, and it's absolutely devastating much of the time to opponents. Then, of course, we have sort of the other half of the deck, the Tron deck. If you can't cheat the creatures in play, you can just cast them. Tron, of course, makes a lot of mana, allows you to cast these really easily, and these with the help of the rest of your lands or your signets, and just hard casting them. And, of course, Elspeth can act as a board clear or a board stall and a win condition all in itself. After that, we have a bunch of things to sort of round out this blue-white control-ish shell. Path to Exiles. Wall of Omens, just block, draw cards, buy yourself some time. Of course, the Signets, the Snapcaster Mages, and the Wraths that I spoke of. And then the Expedition maps to help you find your Tron lands, or, in some cases, the Academy Ruins, so you can actually recur the Sundering Titan over and over again, or recur the Engineered Explosives over and over again, that sort of thing, which can be very powerful in itself. Then Thirst for Knowledge sort of does double duty here. Not only do we have a bunch of artifacts, so it can just be basically a draw 2 for 3 at instant speed and choose, which one you pitch a signet or a map or whatever. But it's also an outlet, a discard outlet. If you draw your Elesh Norn and your Unburial Rites, you can just choose to discard 2 cards with it and put both of those into your graveyard, ready to flash them back. So there's a lot going on with the deck, but it's a lot of fun and it's very powerful. It does one thing very well, and that's get one of these things and play and win the game with it. Of course, the Repeal and the Condescends sort of rounded out. There's something to do when you have a bunch of mana, thanks to Tron, and just sort of, again, buy you time and set up what you want to do. So that's the deck. It's pretty great, to be honest. So moving on to the sideboard, we have the Relics for the graveyard, Pithy Needles to name other people's relics if it's the sort of thing where you expect them bringing in graveyard hate, etc. Negate, of course, where you want that. A Disenchant, Celestial Purge, just generically good options. Another Elspeth for the grindy matchups. Another Ugin when you really need the wipe, etc. But the Thought-Knot Seers as well for the combo matchups and other places where it can be good. It's pretty easy to make the colorless mana in this deck, thanks to the Ghost Quarter and all of the Urza lands, obviously. So that's a deck. It's really sweet. It's pretty fun. You get to just sort of live the dream sometimes and turn 4 Iona a 1-color deck, or where only 1 color is going to have removal, and just go to town with it. Because in addition to just being like probably one of the more unfun cards in Magic to play against, Iona also happens to be a 7/7 flyer. So this is a sweet deck. I'm excited to play it. So let's go ahead and jump on in.